here. Okay, does that look good to everyone?
Looks perfect.
Awesome. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask throughout the presentation. It looks like we've got around 10 people as part of the presentation today. I'm looking forward to sharing some information and to helping all of you with your maximizing your online presence. Many businesses, in fact, most businesses aren't taking advantage of these free tools that can give them an advantage over their competition. And even if it's just only a few points that you do a little better, you get that nail sticking up a little higher and a little higher than all your competitors, you're definitely going to be further ahead, because most people have set up their LinkedIn, or they've set up their LinkedIn company page, or they've heard of Google My Business and may have one and have forgotten about it, and they don't understand or realize, or they haven't taken the opportunity to learn how effective a LinkedIn profile, a LinkedIn company page, and a Google My Business profile can be, especially with the, there's literally millions and millions, if not billions of pages on the internet. And for local, there can be dozens, if not hundreds of competitors. If you can look a little more effective in the top of search, you're definitely going to be clicked on more often. So a little bit about myself. I've been working in social media for over 8 years. Anybody remember Google Plus or Vines? They were short video, Vines were short videos, and Google Plus was the predecessor of Google My Business and kind of Google's version of Facebook, which didn't do so well. But I tried starting company pages with a print company that I used to be a part of. And the owner of the print company said that, yeah, this social media stuff is never going to catch on. And he was right. For his company, it didn't, and there is no longer that print company. So about 5 years ago, I switched full-time to social media, and now I help people with their business, Google My Business, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Do we have any questions already? Okay, let's get back to here. So 2019 and 2021, it has been a challenging couple of years. And we all have gone through our own challenges, our pivots. Some have changed careers. We all know what's happened to the food service and restaurant industry. It has been absolutely chaotic and unpredictable. One thing I noticed is no one was focusing on their local SEO. So for a small or medium-sized business, and a lot of businesses have clients within a few dozen or a few hundred kilometers, Google My Business was showing up, and in most cases, it was either an empty lot, like you'll see later, or was a total blank palette that no one had ever taken anything to. They had never paid any attention to it. They may have set it up once. The person that set it up may not even be with the company anymore. Definitely a lot of opportunity, because the companies that had optimized their profile, you noticed them and you wanted to click on them to see a little bit more about what they were doing. And the same with LinkedIn company pages and a lot of people's LinkedIn personal profiles as well. And we'll touch on those. So LinkedIn company pages, often for a small and medium-sized business, rank very high in search, generally on the first page and generally above the fold on Google as well. But most were forgotten, set up occasionally by somebody who didn't even belong to the company anymore, and abandoned. And a number of my friends' businesses were literally at their breaking point. A local customer-facing small business that I know, she'd had 4 employees and was down to herself, limited hours, and I wanted to help them. So for one of these companies, I was able to get them to ranking #1 locally without paying any money to Google, simply by adding some content. So we're going to start off with LinkedIn, and then we're going to transition over to the Google My Business. Why should you be using a LinkedIn business page or LinkedIn company page? It's the #1 platform for lead and sales development. And all of your connections, decision maker, and most of your prospects, especially if you're B2B, are already on LinkedIn. They just don't know anything about you yet. And as I mentioned before, it is a very high ranking site, and your Google My Business, your LinkedIn company page can be completed very easily with a step-by-step process. They practically show you how to do it. All you have to do is add a little bit of content. So here's an example of one. I'm going to be using a few different companies' pages, but I didn't want to point out anyone's company or anyone negatively on anyone else's company. You can see you've got the cover image at the top, logo, the market segment, so marketing and advertising, my location, a little bit of a bio or byline, and then an about us section. Once you have that and a post, you're going to be getting 20% more post views from LinkedIn simply by having a little bit of, simply by completing a little bit of work, having a call to action button. In the case of my page, the call to action button is follow. So yes, you can follow LinkedIn pages just like you can with Google My Business pages. Pardon me, a little bit of water. And if you take a look at this, you don't see those gray boxes. A lot of us on LinkedIn, we see somebody's profile or we see a brand new connection request and they have a gray box for their logo or they have a gray box for their company. And there's nothing sadder than a page with gray boxes. One of the easiest things that you want to do for LinkedIn is add content. So this company, they actually created a video of their machine working and received hundreds of views using just a few little tips that you can see. They added one of their pain points for their clients, which is machines not working as efficiently as possible. They've added a little bit of credibility saying that they've had hundreds of shops they've already worked with. And if you're frustrated, they can help. And then a few hashtags, just like Instagram, LinkedIn is encouraging the use of hashtags. However, you don't want to go crazy with a block of 30 hashtags on LinkedIn. They recommend, or what's been recommended is no more than 5, but more, you can use 3 to 5 is probably best for your reach. If you start like hashtagging, you know, those 30 hashtags, LinkedIn will actually reduce the potential reach of your post from your first circle all the way on out with the algorithm. Another big thing about video is, and it's the same on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook, on all the other social platforms, even TikTok. If you're anybody else TikTok cool? I don't show videos of my face on TikTok, but anyways, video is also the most shared. You get the most time spent on your post, and the more time spent on your post equals to LinkedIn's algorithm, the more authority that your post has. And it also means, just like commercials between TV shows, no one else, you're not paying attention to anyone else's message. So if you can get a short video, you can get a few dozen or a few hundred minutes of attention, there's absolutely no way for free or for very low cost that you can reach your targeted audience for a few hundred minutes without spending dozens, if not hundreds of dollars on pay-per-click, hoping that your video content or your ad content gets in front of the correct person.
David, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What's the best way to determine what hashtags you should be using on your LinkedIn? You know, in terms of adding ones that, you know, what ones that are most applicable to get found, those kind of things, you know what I mean? Where sometimes people can get a little crazy on other platforms around the hashtags. Any strategies for creating hashtags for LinkedIn?
Well, while you're writing your content, so the words like you can improve spindle efficiency, LinkedIn actually suggests them at the bottom of your text box. So you don't even have to think about them. They're giving you some of the basic ones. And then what I would do to find more effective ones, and when you're searching as well, you can find out how many times, or you can search hashtags on LinkedIn as well and find the leaders in that niche. So for example, CNC manufacturing is not the biggest niche in the world, but if you're interested in that, you're going to be following that hashtag. If you have a machine shop and you're looking at reducing your your costs, or bragging about your quality of your products, or trying to show people what you can do, you're going to use that. So machine shop life, CNC manufacturing, this company particularly does the big black part at the bottom, and the base are called work holding fixtures. So LinkedIn will give you suggestions, but you can also research your competitors and research the industry leaders in your niche to see what they're using. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks, David. And just a reminder to everybody else, if you have a question for David, you know, put it in the chat or the Q&A, and myself and Greta can relay it on to David. Thank you, David.
You're welcome. I don't have it. I don't know if any other questions have been asked because the way this setup is for me, I just can't see if the chat's being populated with questions. So
We are all good.
you don't always need to do video. If you just had a photo, even this post, even if you just had a photo, it's going to get the attention of people that are interested in what you're talking about. So you may think you have the most boring industry in the world. There are people that really think that's really cool or that can use your services or your products, especially if you've done your research and you know that you've got a service or product that's in demand. The least effective post, in my opinion, is a text-only post. I have done one recently, and it was about, does anyone remember about a week ago, this little site we all use called Facebook and Instagram was down for the day? Well, guess what wasn't down for the day? Both LinkedIn and Google My Business. Now, you do want to make sure that you're spread out a bit. You don't want to be hyper-focused on one platform. So it's always good to at least have one or two, if not one more platforms that you're focusing on, because you don't own any of the platforms. You still own your website, but you don't own the platform. Pardon me. You don't own the platform that you're posting content on. So it's always good to have your own website as well. Now, here's one big advantage that you receive from posting video on LinkedIn. You can actually find out which companies, people from where the company, or sorry, the companies that people work for that saw your video. You can see what their titles are and their locations. So this company is actually looking for people kind of in the Rust Belt or the Midwest. So they've got Detroit, Windsor, Erie, PA, Cleveland. So that's a great location targeting for this post. And they received 125 impressions and a 10% engagement rate, which anyone will tell you on video, a 10% engagement rate is pretty much through the roof. That is not a normal expectation for any video post on any platform to get a 10% engagement rate. But you don't just have to do it about your products or services. You can also do it about the people. Even if you have somebody new on your team, you know, the personalization, we are making content for other people. And one of the biggest challenges is we get so focused on the products and services that we don't remember that we're communicating with other people, and people like learning about people. So it's always a neat thing to do, to even if it's just a photo of a company lunch, or if you have a shop floor, if you have a retail environment, you could space people out. I had one client, they wanted to do a post of their team. So we just had people in a zigzag. We had 8 or 10 people in the photo, but they were socially distanced and masked, so that we were able to make sure that the appearance there wasn't a negative connotation to their appearance, but they were also highlighting that they are being safe for them, for the other team members, and for their customers. So short video about your team will always be the most engaging content. So in addition to your brand page, you do want to make sure that your personal profile is updated. There's nothing sadder than gray boxes everywhere in a personal profile. You can see I got my D-Hill sales, so my company page is set up properly. School I went to a number of years ago is set up. And then you've got an image. And actually, look at that. Have you signed up for the webinar on October 13th yet? You've got a decent profile, personal profile photo. LinkedIn has a significant amount of editing built in with it when you upload a photo, so it doesn't need to be perfect. The photo actually in my profile was taken when my wife and I were out for dinner one evening at one of the beautiful wineries down in Niagara. You can kind of see the blurred out background. A simple cell phone can do most of what you're looking for the cover images in the background. I recommend using Canva. It's a great tool. As you can see, I'm not a graphic designer, but I was still able to get across working on LinkedIn. You've got Google Maps image, maximizing your presence, a little bit of text, an office environment. And one thing you don't want to have is you don't want to have your the headline below your name as sales representative. There is nothing more difficult than trying to stand out from about 20 million other sales representatives in the US and Canada. So what you want to convey with your headline, which mine starts with social media manager, is you want to convey how you can help people. So if somebody takes a look at even just this top of my profile, you can see social media manager, video creator, digital manager, using social media video, and then optimizing and managing Google My Business to grow your brand. If you want to know more, you're going to click down, or you're going to click my contact info. A huge thing for contact info. It's everybody has it on their LinkedIn header. Most people have companies that they worked for 5 years ago, or websites for companies that they're not even attached to anymore. It is extremely important for you to have updated contact information as part of your contact info. That'd be one of your main takeaways from today. Because what I do if I'm looking to reach out to someone on LinkedIn, if I don't want to send them a message, if it's a little more of a conversation I want to have, I'll take a look at the contact info to see their phone number, a direct email address, or a number I can reach out via text. Almost every single person I've worked with in the past year and a half has had incorrect or outdated information in their personal profile's contact info. So please take a look at it. And as I mentioned earlier, who are you and what can you do for me? Those are the two questions that every single person looks at for your profile, whether they're trying to sell from you or sell to you, or they want to work with you. They want to know if they can work with you. And if you don't have an attractive or an engaging headline and profile cover image, people will likely just click away. And you've lost that opportunity for another connection, or even worse, another sale. Pardon me. I mentioned as well, posting of videos. This video that you can see, I took a longer video, edited it down to under a minute, ended up receiving all kinds of information, had views from people around the world. At one point in time, 50 people from Turkey, from Turkish Airlines, had just taken a look at this video. I chose a good thumbnail image because everybody, wow, Niagara Falls, you can see the Horseshoe Falls. I had some keywords in the text, some hashtags, tagged the organization that I was with when I took the video, and received not only on LinkedIn 7,000 views, 3,300 minutes of view time, but what I linked to, that my YouTube channel, or the video on my YouTube channel, received thousands of minutes of views as well. And that's even more rare, is trying to get platform to platform, people moving from one platform to another, because the last thing any platform wants is you to leave that platform for somewhere else. However, in this case, the engagement worked. At one point in time, LinkedIn was actually the highest incoming referral to the YouTube video, and added to the followers as well on my YouTube channel. So if you don't have the capacity, or you don't feel you understand how do you create video for your company, the best thing is to just start with taking photos. We all have this amazing device that has an amazing camera that is better than anything that would have been in the $10,000 range 20 years ago, a microphone that is absolutely incredible in quality as well. And you can create short video content even without an external microphone in very little time. And everyone's going to say, well, I'm going to suck. Well, yes, you will at first, but you'll get better. And that's one of the things that I've found is, if you took a look at my original tweets, or my original Facebook posts, or even some of my original LinkedIn posts, I wasn't that good, but I got better. And now I'm helping people with their own profiles, and companies and large organizations as well with their content, and created some content even for some of the larger not-for-profits in Hamilton recently. So one thing from a sales perspective, with the insights that you get, you can actually do a little bit of sleuthing and figure out, okay, who is a salesperson at that company who's in this location? You can do a little bit of sleuthing even without the paid version of LinkedIn to try and see who took a look at your post if you need to. And you might even be able to find someone who's a potential lead. A little bit of research, a little bit of playing around on LinkedIn will go a long way to increase your comfort level and help you want to engage more with others. And one thing that LinkedIn does want, of course, is they want people liking and commenting and sharing. And actually for something that most people don't realize is a 5-word comment on someone else's post is more influential to the algorithm than a share. So if you can do a five or more word comment on someone else's LinkedIn post, you're doing them a huge favor to the algorithm, because LinkedIn, like all the other platforms, know if you're putting your own information out there, they're also sharing that with your connections that you've commented on that post. So perhaps Joe Allure, who's watching or was watching earlier, if he comments on a post, LinkedIn will tell his connections that he's commented on that post. If you also want to see somebody else's content on a regular basis, then if you comment, engage with their posts, perhaps endorse them, you'll see more of their content in your feed. And that gets into a little bit outside of what we're talking about today, but you can curate your feed on LinkedIn. Okay, now to the meat and bones of it today. Google My Business. It is the most visible search result for your company. And one of the things that you can see at the very top, by adding your data into, by adding posts into, you're giving information to the search engine's algorithm to make faster and better decisions for your company and your results. And you can allow your business to rank in both Google Maps, and the same information is on the search results page in a 3-pack as well. Those are always towards the top of the page. If you search for any restaurants when you're out and about, you'll always see 1, 2, and 3, and you'll see, we'll talk a little bit more about those 3-packs in a moment. But the best thing about Google My Business is it's free for now. They've already started putting more ads in the map pack. They've already started local service ads. If you have a company that goes out of your, helps other people in their home, like a plumber or a roofer, there is a new paid niche within, and paid ads niche within Google My Business and local services that is the first step that Google has gone towards monetizing or charging for Google My Business. So while it's still free, you want to give Google as much information as possible before they start charging, because the information you're giving them is great for you, but it's even better for them because now they know more about your company. And one thing Google doesn't want to do, and this is gonna, if there's anyone in website design out there, I apologize, but not on my behalf on Google. Google doesn't want to send people to websites. Google, just like the social media sites, wants to keep you on Google. So if they can get your answer as quickly as possible, when you search for best pizza place near me, they're going to give you those 3-packs. You're probably going to choose one of those 3, and you won't even go to the website. If it is a local one, or Pizza or Pizza Hut, or your local Joe's Pizza, or my favorite Chicago style pizza on Sherman. If you haven't been there, you have to go. And right now, if you take a look at any search page, it's not your father's search results page. Love the floppy disk and the scroll. The original search results pages were simply text, and more text. And you'd click, 1, 2. If you're really, really courageous, you might click to the 3rd page of results. There are so many different ways that Google helps answer your question, whether it's for a business or whether it's a question about how to do something. Google has just an amazing array of different ways of answering your question, whether it's a visual, whether it's a video, whether it's text, whether it's a snippet of somebody else's website. Yes, they crawl your websites and help you a little bit with an answer. Help your website a little bit by include the content on the search results page, but you don't get any direct credit for that. So some of the more common Google entities that we're going to be talking about today are the Google My Business page. There's also brand, product, and fact knowledge panels. So a fact knowledge panel is a little different. It still looks like that box, sorry, on this side of the page. There we go. The same, whereas if you search for Facebook, you'll see a different kind of knowledge panel than you will for Google My Business page. Sometimes they use Wikipedia. That's another way to get a knowledge panel. There's videos that didn't used to be in it. There's different kinds of sheets that you can click to. There's so many different ways that the search results page has changed, but the most important for us is that Google My Business profile that appears in that little box up here and has some photos, has some, if you're managing them properly, has some bright media that people can take a look at and click on, has your contact information. And of course, everywhere there's lots of ads, including in Google My Business. And at the very bottom of your profile, if you scroll all the way down on your Google My Business profile, they actually post your competitors to let people know there are other options. So is Google your homepage? That's a question some people are definitely leaning that Google wants to be your homepage, but do you want them to be your only homepage? And if they are your homepage, how much of it do you want to control? Or at least give enough data that you can receive more information to make better decisions. So as I mentioned earlier, for local and brand search, the Google My Business panel, but there are over 800 different ways that Google answers. So they have different, they're called SERP features. There's 800 different ways content is shown. So if you have a hotel, there's different ways, and Google actually controls hotels because they have their own way of making money off hotels. They offer a referral service, and I think they get a bit of a cut. So Google My Business for hotels is a lot different. There are a lot of niches within Google My Business. Not all businesses have the same access to the same attributes or the same profile features. There's a lot of differences within niches. So each one of you would be best served by just taking a look and exploring. Some businesses don't have access to products. Some don't have access to services. Some you can actually connect your website and your stock list to, where you can actually have it. For larger companies are doing this now. The box stores, you can find out if they have an exact product and how many they have. But for what we can do, you can add videos, you can add photos, you can add offers, and you can add lots of other content that'll help you in search. So, wow, take a look. We've got a traditional search on the left, and we've got innovations, factories, profile on the right. And it looks fairly simple, but there is so much information in this little box of about 3 inches by 6 or 8 inches. You've got their name, their title, how many reviews, what their business category is, where they are, their address, and their address is absolutely key. And I'm going to mention this probably again, but your address has to be exactly the same on your website as it is on Google My Business, as it is on all of your other pages that your business is referenced. So on this, for this address, for example, they have Longwood Road, Longwood RD space S. It's the Longwood Road South. So every other place they have their address, they can't have RD period S period for Road South. They have to have the exact same formatting or kerning of it, no extra spaces, every single place that their address is. Otherwise, it's a mixed signal to Google, and a mixed signal generally means you will not rank as high. So I took the screenshot the other night. So obviously they weren't open. There are ways of contacting them, though. At the very top, you have the website. You can find out how to get there. You can save their profile. You can also follow profiles now. And you can even share the latest info. Google reviewers or Google local reviewers are very powerful and can help your business more than most people realize as well. And then there's that Q&A, which we'll get to, and then popular time. So quite a lot of people are there on Tuesday mornings. Is that true? We'll find out later. So Google My Business profile, as well as what you can see at the very top, is they do have an image. So they have an image of their exterior, they have a map location, and then a Google Street View. You, as a business owner or manager of a Google My Business profile, you can change the cover image. If it's not one that you like, you can update it. And if you go through the Google My Business website, which is at the very bottom on the left, when you're in the admin panel, you can actually, using the Google My Business website, and this is really the only practical use for it, you can actually update your cover image to make sure it's an image that reflects your business and not a weird one that, you know, perhaps doesn't reflect as well as you want your business to be seen. So here's two different profiles in exactly the same category. And both have been verified. Well, at least the one has been verified. And for all the steps we're going to be talking about today, you need to be verified, and basically means getting Google to send you a postcard. And that's another reason why you want your address to be exact and to be the same, is Google actually sends you a physical postcard with a code on it that you have to enter to verify your profile, because then they know that you're actually at that address. So the biggest corporation in the world is still using Canada Post to figure out where you are and that you're there.
Hey, David, we have a question.
Sure.
From looks like from Diana. What if you're an event company with different markets, but mostly working from home? How do you manage the location piece?
Then you'd be listed as likely as a service area business, because nobody is coming to your location. My profile, if you look on the left, there is no address. So I am a service area business. The person who hasn't set up their profile on the right hasn't set it up properly. This profile may have even been created by Google. They may have scraped the image and just put it up, hoping that the person will notice it's there. So an event company, if you're working in Canada, you could say that you're working in Canada. Generally, though, Google doesn't want a GMB profile to be more than 100 kilometers. Your service area, generally, driving a couple 100 kilometers isn't an option. I do have one or two clients where they are a cloud-based company and they have Canada as their business, but that's not something I recommend. As you can see in the little top corner of my profile, I have myself from Niagara, the border, into Mississauga, because we all know how much we want to be driving through Toronto. You could do Ontario if that was part of your, or the southern half of Ontario. You can choose different regions as with the service area business that you're going to be helping people in. Does that answer your question?
They said thank you, so hopefully.
Awesome.
Makes sense.
And if you take a look at the profile on the right, you can see there's products, you can see there's Q&A, there's reviews, there's a description, there's posts at the bottom. I didn't show you the competitors because I don't want to do that. But a completely filled out profile is definitely more engaging and definitely gives you more opportunity for clicks. And that is the way that Google now has changed their, or is in the process of changing their insights from a view-based system to an engagement-based system. So it's either a click or a comment or a review or a click on your post or a click on the CTA button. You can see at the very bottom, I linked to the sign up button on the Innovation Factory website or on the other RSVP site. So you can have different opportunities for people to engage. If you don't have those opportunities for people to engage, Google doesn't view your site as authoritative and you won't rank as high. So by having a completely filled out profile, even though I'm a service area business, I'm still visible in some search segments, in some niches. And if people are looking for me and they are looking for GoogleMyBusiness optimization or consulting, I can be found in some areas when it's a localized search. So we were talking a little bit about how the Innovation Factory looked. That was the whole profile. Now we're going to take a look at, this is called the map pack or 3-pack. It's similar on both Google Maps and on the desktop or on regular search, whether it's desktop and mobile. However, there are different results on mobile depending on platform and depending on your location. So you can literally move 100 meters in any direction and the closest pizza place or the closest gas station will change, and Google knows where you are. So your results will change depending on where you are. So proximity is a key feature as well as prominence. The local pack by itself, though, it looks very simple and it's been stripped down significantly from one of the larger profiles. We've got an example here of a couple of garages in auto shops up in Ancaster area of Hamilton. You got, everybody has their phone number, has a way to be, go to a website if you have a website, their hours, their rating, and the rating is right below their name on purpose. So the Napa shop has a 4.8, but 570 reviews. The Elite Automotive has 4.9, 442 reviews, and they've had a little bit, they've been in business for 10 years. So a little bit more authority. And if you take a look at the review snippets at the bottom there, those are called justifications. Never been to a better auto shop. And Elite has, I'm so thankful I've found such a trustworthy car repair service. If you've never met these people before, there's a choice has gone from 4 with the ad down to 2. And which one of those 2 you're going to take a look at? Well, either the 70 years or the 10 years, depends on where you are, if you're closest to them or not. You've already reduced your competition by half just by having an optimized Google My Business page. And your location is key. And then one of the key metrics as well, especially if it's a place like the auto shop, auto repair centers, or restaurants of any kind, is how do I get there? If you're in a new town, the first thing you're doing is, okay, I'm hungry. Where's the closest quick serve restaurant, or where's the closest sit down restaurant? And the directions button is a key bottom of funnel indicator. So when you're taking a look at your Google My Business Insights, you want to see how many people clicked on directions to your location if you're that kind of business. So there's a lot of information in what on your phone is only about 5 or 6 centimeters across and 2 or 3 centimeters high. Google has done a great, and they've focused on the things that they view or they understand are important. People want to know what the rating of a business is. People want to know how many people, even though we don't even know who those people are. Now, odds are, out of the 500 and out of the 42 people, the company hasn't, bought reviews for that many. You could buy 578 reviews, but you'd be at all 5-star ratings. So even though we don't know who these people are, we still trust these people we don't know to review a company we've never been to before. So as I mentioned earlier, if you get no other point out of this presentation today, check and double check your company name. You do not want any other location modifiers. You do not want any keywords. If you have a location modifier or a keyword, your listing can get suspended, and it is possible but not easy to get it reinstated. For many small businesses, Google My Business suspension can be a significant 30 to 40% of their business can come from communication through Google and through Google search. There really isn't, even all the other search engines put together are less than 5% in Canada compared to Google search. So not being visible in Google My Business can definitely reduce your sales and your profits, and in some cases can shut a company down. So you really want to make sure your legal name is at the top and have your doing business as or your business license available in case, because when businesses are suspended or off of their Google My Business, 90% of people don't have the right information they need to get the suspension lifted. And it takes them a few days, which can take another few days to get the listing back up. And if it's not soon enough, you can lose your reviews and a lot of other information as well. So please, please, please make sure your company name, your address, including the kerning, the spaces, the abbreviations, and your phone number are correct. If you do this, you're going to be a lot further ahead than that guy who has I do plumbing in Hamilton, Ontario as his business name. And I've seen similar companies to that. They don't always last long because they may not actually be a real company. It could be a lead generation listing. So as I mentioned earlier, relevance. So Google knows the intention of the searcher and they're trying to answer that as quickly as possible. The distance from your location, if you're a location-based business, and the prominence, and you want to demonstrate through your filling out all sections of the Google My Business profile, your expertise, your authority comes from your website, and trustworthiness obviously comes from reviews and the ratings. And reviews and review content are a great starting point for more businesses because if you have customers, then you have people that can give you reviews. Images are key. Up-to-date hours. If you're closing for, let's say the stat we had this past week, Google will actually send you a message, an email saying, hey, are you open this day? And a lot of us weren't open for Thanksgiving. Your category is, you really want to make sure that you choose the proper primary category, but you can add secondary categories up to 9 more. You want to fill out your attributes. This is all on in your information section. And then not just for your services, don't just fill out the title. You want to fill out more detail, because the more detail you have in those services, that gives Google more information to choose you when someone's looking for the services or the products you offer. And products are key, because as you saw in my profile, you can make, and Google doesn't seem to mind, but you can make your services into products, have an image, and then it's clickable even on mobile. On your Google My Business profile, you can have your pricing information for your products and services there, or for your products there, and a little bit of a description and an image. Images that are clickable means you can get more data. More data and more clicks means more authority for your page, which increases your ranking. And another easy way to increase your ranking is by adding content. The one thing that Google hates, and I think you'll agree with me, Mark, is Google hates a website that is the same forever. Well, Google also doesn't like it when, and will reward you if you do, doesn't like it when there's no posts, and will reward you with increased potential ranking when you do create Google My Business posts. And there are so many ways. Again, it's a very simple, just like that little map pack or 3-pack listing. There's a lot behind the simplicity of the seemingly simplicity of the Google My Business posts. And add photos. So this client, I just did a search brake repair, and I did it in hidden browser modes. My browser history wasn't affected by it. But if you take a look at the image there, brake repair, Google actually chose an image that it recognized as a brake on a car which brakes with the wheels off as the first image. So if you have photos in addition to your products, Google uses those because they have their API, image API, researches your image and literally in literally 200 ways in the milliseconds after your photo is loaded, because they want to know what that photo is. You can also add a description, but for this person, for this request for the auto station, they said had an emergency tire repair. So brake repair, they took the word repair, knowing that brakes and tires are similar. They showed the something under repair, a brake unit under repair, and it actually moved their primary image of their blue building over to the right. So if you have a product, an image of one of your products, Google knows that that's an image of your product. They know more about your images than you probably do. And the way they analyze the image and the color and the intent. I had an image a few years ago I uploaded where I was had been in a race car. They knew I was in a helmet. They knew the kind of car I was in. They knew that I was still smiling even though I had helmet on. I had sunglasses on. It was a Porsche. It had mag rims. They analyze every single photo uplisted to your Google My Business profile in hundreds of ways in a simple instant. And the best thing for you is, as I mentioned, it can be used, the image can be used to match the intent of a search. And if you've got a problem, the first image you see is an answer to your problem, you're more likely to click on that profile. One of the challenges with images for Google is they've got to be simple, because most of these images are being viewed on someone's mobile device about 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters, even when they're enlarged. And you want to describe them using keywords so you can add a description to the images that you upload to your profile as well. So you can build authority both to the searcher and to the algorithm with photos without really even knowing what you're doing. And please, 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 do not use stock photos. Google actually knows what the stock photos are because they crawl all the stock photo sites, as well as all the sites and all the Google My Business pages and all the websites. So if you're using stock photos on your website, Google knows, and it will not help your ranking. One thing that's been a controversy over the last little while is there were businesses that were charging to add the meta tag or the location data onto your photos that are being uploaded to Google. Google doesn't pay any attention to the meta tagging on photos that are uploaded that a business owner uploads to their own business profile. it gets stripped away instantly. So even later, if you downloaded it, it's gone. They know that if you're uploading it, it's from you. So there are businesses that are literally making millions of dollars for nothing, and they're providing no value. Some of the local small business websites tell you, you've got to make sure that you add the meta tags and the metadata. Please do not do that. Your phone adds enough information. If you're a Google reviewer, that's a different story. As I mentioned, Google analyzes every single images, and your stock images will be found and will decrease your rank potential and the potential of your photos you being used to answer someone's search inquiry. These are two great places, by the way, in downtown Hamilton, a Szechuan noodle bar and a great little coffee shop just over by Denninger's. Great cookies, and some of those photos may have been taken by someone you know. I took them because I like the places and I wanted to try and help them. And some of the photos have actually had significant views. So
David, question
yes.
for you.
Yes.
So I can understand on the food or maybe even some services businesses, but for example, my business and your business, what do you do for, because when we do a blog post, we're using a stock photo, right? So, what do you like, for our own blogs, because we provide, so what do you recommend for businesses like mine where, we primarily use stock photos? Should we do some specific ones for the Google My Business that are our own pictures? Question.
Yes. And on your website, because Google does understand if you're linking to a page from Google My Business, like for example, your homepage or your landing page that you link to from Google My Business, Google actually takes a look at those photos and their tags and can understand if they're applicable or not. For example, one of the seminars I attended recently, an online series, it was a business that was, trying to help, the grubs we get in our lawn, the raccoons like to eat. So it was, grub removal or grub remediation, or, to try and stop raccoons from eating out and digging up your lawn. She actually did a test and she was able to determine, Google they tried uploading a whole bunch of photos and Google didn't like them. They didn't like the raccoon in the photo. What Google liked for that search of, getting rid of grubs in my lawn was actually a line of holes in the grass. And within 2 days, that image of holes in the grass, even though the person had correctly uploaded through the Google My Business website a new cover image, Google chose that one image that was tagged properly on the website, and that actually appeared in the search results. So every single image that you can should be an original image. Stock images are basically like that gray company logo on LinkedIn. Google doesn't even care about them, and they won't add to the authority of your article or your blog post or anything that's linked to your Google My Business. So Google, within a day or two, will take a look at the landing pages associated or any updates on those landing pages, because it's important for them to have the updated information about your business. So they were able to work with Google, work with the algorithms and the algorithm's perception. And to be honest, the algorithm knows what people click on. We're talking about something that deals with billions of searches per day around the world and answers most questions within well under half a second. It knows a lot more than we do about people's search intent. So I don't think you're helping your blog posts by using a stock image. We've all got a device that can create something, a little bit of imagination. Yes, it's tough. You'll take a look at my GMB. I don't have a lot of images. I'm, like a lot of practitioners, I work more with my clients than I do on my own profile for some things. But I also know that personally, one of my best ways to get new clients is LinkedIn. But having a Google My Business, that when somebody is looking for a good optimization of profiles or LinkedIn, there's definitely answers that are on my page that can reinforce it through justifications. That was a bit rambly. Did that answer your question, Mark?
Thanks, David.
Okay, so GMB posts, there's different styles of posts. There's offer posts, which are timed. There's event posts like the one I did. It was at the bottom of the profile. The most common, I highlighted in red, is the update or what's new. It's product posts. And what you'll do as you get more effective at creating posts is you're going to take a look at the insights, and you can figure out what people are searching for, how Google is the GMB algorithm, because there is a separate algorithm for Google My Business than there is for the rest of the search results page. Take a look at the insights, and then also, what are the common questions? Your clients have questions about your business. You can answer those questions in a post. You can do a small mini blog. I don't recommend hundreds and hundreds. You can do a significantly large amount of text in a Google My Business post, but no one's ever going to read it. Just like that one photo in the middle with the apple, that's quite often all that someone sees of the text of a post before they click see more, click on it to learn more about it. So what I've got on this page here is in the bottom right, that's a desktop view of the post. The top right, I have the mobile view after I've clicked, but your first sentence, this is where your copywriting or your writing skills or your conversion skills come in for your writing. Your first sentence has to be a bit of a hook. So you want to keep a keyword in your first sentence, start a little bit of a story where they want to keep going. So for example, this post, it helps ... What does this help? People want to know. You want to leave people wanting that little bit to make sure, just like on your LinkedIn post, you've got the first couple lines, you want people to click see more, or in this case, click to learn a little more about the image. And one thing you can see with this as well is the exact same photo in all three posts is shown differently. So you've got to be careful with the post. If you had your text, let's say at the post towards the center of the screen, if you had text saying, apples for sale at the top, it's not going to be seen on that preview image that's shown on mobile. So you've got to be really careful and really understand and learn how the algorithm, and it's not always the same, but the photo, the way they show the image is a bit of a challenge sometimes. There is a bit of a template. If somebody wants to reach out to me, there's a template that I can forward to you of how to format your image and place your image so that it's going to be seen. The most important parts are seen. If you want to reach out to me, I can send that to you after the presentation today. But if you wanted people to see all four photos, that one in the middle definitely doesn't show all four photos of that collage. So for Google My Business posts, you can use the images. You can also use videos, and videos the same way. You've got to be careful with how the video is shown. So how to start? Most people haven't created a lot of posts on their Google My Business. So, you're communicating with people though. You're communicating with your best potential customer. I've had people tell me in the past, Dave, anyone can be my customer. Well, yes, anyone could be, but you want to be communicating and directing your communications and directing your posts towards your ideal customer, towards that customer. I always say, I learned, follow the gold. Don't follow the pennies. You want to follow the dollars or the $20 or the $100. So make your posts with the intent of communicating with the best client for your business. You can use a call to action button, call me. So for that grub removal service or that grub remediation service, you'd use a call me button, because people want right now when their spouse is complaining that their lawn's torn up again and the neighbors are complaining, or the neighbors are going to think bad about us. You're not going to want to, wait for a voicemail message, or you're not going to want to wait to hear back from them. You want to call them right now, give them a message, and make sure that they get back to you as quick as possible. And as I mentioned, grab attention in the first sentence. And tell a story, have a bit of fun, because as we all know, 42.7% of all statistics are made up. Okay, that's something I've tried to say in all of my presentations, but we all remember stories. From a young age, we're all taught learning the fairy tales, we're all stories about hazards. Don't go into the woods by yourself. Stories will be great for communication. You can tell a story in a video post as well. give a tip. For example, the garage, they could say, this is how you fill washer fluid. This is how you do an inspection of the lights around your car. It seems simple, but most people don't do it. And if they're not taught how to do it, they're probably not going to do it. And for health and safety, you definitely want to have your windshield washer filled. It's going to be getting cold, hopefully in about 3 months. And you want to make sure all your lights are good for when your vehicle's driving at night. So those little those little how-to videos can be used as part of your Google My Business post as well, and can be added as content through your Photos tab. So grab attention with your first sentence, tell a bit of a story, use a call to action button, because again, with call to action buttons, you're getting more data. You're getting clicks through to your page or not, or clicks through to your post, or you're getting that phone call from that client that wants your services right now. And one part of we did see the review snippet with those garages up in Ancaster there. That snippet, their justification, it's that little bit of text that can come from a bunch of different places, about 4 or 5 different places on your profile or even your website. But that little snippet of text that Google has added when applicable, so they've figured out the searcher's intent, and they're answering with that little bit of text added in that really highly focused, highly thought about map pack, just a few centimeters, and they're adding a line of text. That's a huge signal to the searcher that this business will be able to, or has answered, or can answer your question. If you don't have that justification, your profile is a little smaller. So you're standing out a little bit on even the small results on the cell phone, or the 3-pack or the map pack on your desktop search. And as I said, it's a signal from Google of information that Google's been given by you that you can answer their question's intent. That's a huge win. If Google is giving you props without you paying for Google to do that, you're not paying for Google Ads to do this. Google is giving you an extra line out of about 5 lines of content for free. Google doesn't do this lightly, but they know that it's one of the most effective ways for people to be happy with their search. And if people are happy with their search, they're going to keep searching on Google. What's surprising is only about 60% of companies have them on their profile. And I'm going to say far fewer, I'd say probably below 10% with intent optimize their posts, their websites, their services to be answering search intent. So post justifications, if you take a look at D Hill Sales, we'll share the latest tips and tricks on how to effectively use Google My Business. And the search was for Google optimization Ancaster. Boom, I win. I like that. For the bike shop down on the right, New Hope Community Bikes, a not-for-profit in Hamilton. All staff cater to each and every single customer and to customers' needs. So this one, Google actually chose to show images that we talked about earlier, because I looked up Hamilton bicycle Hamilton service. I mixed it up to see if it would change results depending on which word was first. And you actually see a picture of a room full of bikes. So that's a panoramic picture of a room full of bikes. The next picture is a bike outside. The other picture is a row of bikes. So Google has chosen those images from their Google My Business profile to be part of the answer, but that doesn't always happen. And you can see as well, they have call, directions, and share, because that's a location-based business, whereas my service-based business doesn't have the same. It's actually hidden behind the other post. So you've got post justifications, provides justifications come from services that you've added to your Google My Business page, or even from your website. So one justification will be website says they offer this. And then review justifications, that's what we have with New Hope Community Bikes. You can actually, you're not legally allowed to compensate people, or at least within the terms of use, you're not allowed or not permitted by Google to be compensating people for reviews. But that doesn't mean you can't ask people, we helped you with that bicycle chain repair. Could you give us a review on that bicycle chain repair? And then when somebody searches repair bicycle chain in Hamilton, that little snippet could come up with that little review icon. You can see that little person, the little blue dot down in the bottom right. You can actually, if you coach people, there's a much greater chance that you're actually going to get a review that says that than if they just give you the stars with no context. Google loves more content. They even love more content free better. And that's why they really appreciate the reviews that we all give. Sold here and in stock. So sold here would be like cars or trucks. In stock would be that example I gave of the box store having an electronic device like a certain model of laptop. So some of the larger enterprises actually have their inventory systems integrated with their through an app into Google My Business, so that Google could give an answer that, let's say Best Buy has something in stock that Staples doesn't have. Well, you know right away with that initial search which way you're going to go. Okay. So Google reviews, in addition to being that second line under your business name, as we mentioned, they can be used as a justification. They also appear with the ranking. So you've got your score, you've got tips. For example, this search mentioned Google My Business. You can, all the reviews that were pulled up when you clicked on reviews have the answer you're looking for. And you don't know any of the people that gave these reviews, yet you still trust them because they're on the screen. So we don't know who's giving all these reviews, yet we still trust the people that are giving the reviews, and we base our purchasing decisions based on reviews from people we don't know. The more higher ranking of your score and the more comprehensive your reviews, that actually will help you increase in rank up against your competitors. Is that another question?
No, it's just me still trying to solicit some questions.
Okay. Everybody says on their post, and one thing that's crucially important, and this is another big one, I should have it in big red letters, is you need to answer every review. If you answer a review within 24 hours, remember, Google's tracking everything. Google knows that you've answered the review, and that also helps increase your authority, your authoritativeness within the algorithm. So if you have reviews on your page that you haven't answered for a year, that tells Google you're not very interested, in getting more reviews, or very interested in engaging and building relationships with your clients, that people that have already paid you as well. So you want to replying, or whether you reply or not, it's a signal to the algorithm that could either increase or not increase your authority and ranking. And we always get the question, well, I don't want to run my Google because I always get bad reviews. Well, the best thing to do with a bad review is to give the appearance or take the conversation offline as soon as possible. You want to make it appear that when you're answering the person, so that all these other people that see this review in the future know you've tried to take care of it. I've only had one time in the last 5 or 6 years where somebody has actually created a soap opera with replying to reviews and replying again and replying again. And this person thought they were significantly harming this business, but not having a 5-star going down to 4.9 is a bit more authentic than only having 5 stars. So, this whole conversation, this whole soap opera that they created to try and harm us, this particular business, is all buried. No one's ever going to see it. No one's going to read the 2,000 characters that the angry person wrote. And it may have made them feel better, but in the big scheme of things, it's just been made into vapor. It's, back in the cloud that no one's ever going to see. So give the appearance with a review that you're taking with the negative review that you're taking it offline. Google does rank the reviews that you're given, the content in the reviews, but Google doesn't care what you say in your reply to the review. So it can be short, it can be a little more eloquent if it's a nicer review. What I do for one of the larger clients I work with, if somebody gives a beautiful, like a very incredible review, I'll answer with a few sentences. But if they're like, this place is awesome, I'll say thanks and comment their name. Okay, this has been, I can't believe it, a little longer than I expected. For everybody who waited and stuck out to the end, there's a Q&A section on every single Google My Business profile. Most people don't use them. Most people don't even know the answers. Their questions have been asked. I have one organization I work with that the number one question has nothing to do with their organization. So the good news is you can seed and ask and answer the question. So you can ask a question. If you don't have any Q&As, you can ask the question and then answer it as your business. Nobody, or very, very few, are ever going to do the research to see who asked and answered it, what you want for your Q&As, because if your Q&A gets enough upvotes or thumbs up, your top answered question can appear as part of your profile, again, for free. So if it's a question that your gold, your best, most ideal client asks right out the gate, then that's the number one question that you want answered as part of your Q&As. And part of that question will be put into your profile. So you can use the questions, the ideas for questions are what you want a customer to know before they contact you, and make sure that you get a couple friends to give you a thumbs up, a couple thumbs up to make sure that question is the first one seen when somebody clicks on it, because a lot of people are looking at these and the businesses have no idea, and the questions can be asked and answered by anyone else. So you want to make sure that you answer the questions about the business yourself, not the general public or a Google reviewer. And it could be someone who has completely no association with your business or a competitor as well. Thank you for everyone who lasted through the whole seminar. My name is David Hills with D Hill Sales. You can reach me via email at dhillsales@gmail.com. Connect with me on LinkedIn or just search me on Google at D Hill Sales. How was that, Mark?
That was great. And it's Greta.
Greta. And I still have my notes, and I somehow managed to go through a whole hour without even looking at my notes.
That's amazing. So I have given everyone permission to speak. If anyone has a question, you're free to just raise your hand and ask your question if there are any, and David can answer them. Oh, Alex, go ahead.
Hello?
Let's try again. How about now?
There you go.
There we go. Sorry about that. Thanks for the presentation, David. I took a lot away from that. For a new business in the first month or two, like there's a lot going on here, a lot to handle. Is there any, maybe 2 or 3 of these things which are the most critical to get started on?
David, you're on mute.
Can I ask what your business segment is?
The particular business segment I'm talking about is a local service-based business.
You're on mute, David. You're on mute again. You just put yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I left him speechless.
Okay, that doesn't happen often. What you want to do right away is you want to completely fill out your profile. You want to focus on your services. Make sure your services are filled out. Google will add them. Sometimes they'll appear in yellow. You don't have to agree with all the services. You want to make sure that your website has original images on it, not stock images, and all the images are properly tagged on your homepage or the landing page you've chosen, to make sure that Google can use those tags as part of its search results. You can also look into starting your local service ads. The LSAs are a little expensive, but they are completely based on searcher intent. And there are a lot of people making a lot of money with local service ads. It's a little more detailed than I can get to right now, but it's a niche within Google Ads, and it can literally have people calling you on a daily basis. The caveat with local service ads is if you don't respond to the calls, Google knows that and will send you less. But that's something you'll really want to take a look at as soon as possible, is getting your profile completely verified and filled out, and then going down the road of looking into local service ads. If your category is applicable for that. So there are certain categories it's applicable for. Even if you are B2C, a LinkedIn, if it's a brand new business, your LinkedIn business profile will rank very high in Google search results as well.
Cool. Thanks, David. Appreciate the
Yeah,
tips there.
optimize lots of photos, use your camera. You really want to tell people what you're doing. You don't need to post more often than twice a week, but you really want to make sure that the first sentence of the text of your posts, you can have first-time follower offers as well. You can have different, you can do different offers to try and get people's attention. There's a lot of little things you can do. You really want to explore all of Google My Business to make sure that you're optimizing everything you can to get your best first month.
Thank you
Or
very
second
much,
and
David.
third, because it is a building process as well.
Well, it sounds like it. There's so many moving parts across different platforms. It's a bit overwhelming to think about doing it all at once. So I appreciate the tips on which to focus on there.
The Google My Business is the first thing that people will see in your category.
Okay, so that's the number one thing. Get that profile done. Make sure the information's accurate and verified.
Make sure that as I mentioned earlier, make sure that your address, if you have an address, or if you're a service area business, you don't have a place where customers can see you. You want to make sure that all of your citations have exactly the same kerning for your contact information.
Yeah, that seems like something that learned over time, eh?
Learned over time, and you'll see a lot of SEO experts looking at it. And quite often, one advantage you don't have is quite often, the old directories like the yellow pages will have a different address than everyone else, and that's actually a negative signal to Google. So you're starting off with a clean slate. You want to make sure that you have your citations built up as well. That's a conversation for another call. You can send me an email and we can just briefly discuss a few more things if you'd like, Alex.
Thank you very much, David. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Good luck and congratulations on starting off your business.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, David, we have a question from Jeffrey that says, CBD is quasi-legal. How do I determine what Google will support?
I would search your competitors. From what I understand, you can have a GMB for location, but there are a number of restrictions, and it's not something I've done a lot of research into. You really want to take a look at what your competitors are doing and see if you're able to use Google My Business as part of that. I wish I had a better answer for you. It's definitely a growing segment in the market, but because Google is owned out of the US, it's not just Canadian laws that we're dealing with, and they're dealing with, because they have to work with laws in their home countries as well. Anything else?
No, Jeffrey says, thanks, appreciate the information.
You're welcome, Jeffrey.
Any more questions?
I threw a lot at people. If you do have questions, please don't hesitate to send me an email or connect with me on LinkedIn. Justifications are so important because they're that free line of text that Google's giving you. If you're going to do some research, Alex, for example, you'll want to research on how to optimize your justifications. It's a simple Google search to find out more information on that. And there's a lot you can do to look better than your competitors and increase in ranking over the short term.
That's great. Thank you so much. So if there are no more questions, we will adjourn for today. I will send out the PowerPoint presentation that David presented today, as well as the recording, if that's okay with you, David.
Yep.
Thank you.
Oh,
and then
I think at the very end here, sorry, I have a few thank yous. I have a few thank yous. Richard Vanderblom has some amazing information on his LinkedIn algorithm. Joy Hawkins with the Sterling Sky. And Moz, actually, there's a good article for you, Alex. Moz has influenced local justifications as one of their articles. So,
thanks, David.
It looks like we have one more question, maybe.
There we go.
Go ahead.
Maybe a couple questions. So we have a question. I think Chan, did you want to unmute yourself and ask the question?
Yep. Do you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
So basically, regarding the Google review, right? And in a while back, I built a project. That one is use the QR code, so it can go to your Google review directly. And
Yes.
then I think this one it might be able to boost people to do the Google review because I had a business before. Maybe I can rebuild my website and send it to you. It might help other people because some other people, they really like it. It's a QR code. You scan on it, it jumps to your Google review page immediately.
Yeah, that's a great idea. A lot of places were using that to access their COVID protocols. So QR codes, and every mobile device can, with their photo app, that I'm aware of, every current mobile device will take the QR code when you look at it with your camera and take you right to the website. That's a great idea at your location if you want to have a sheet or a sign with a QR code on it where people can leave reviews and they can go directly to a Google, your Google My Business page. The one caveat is people don't always understand that they have to be signed into Google to leave a Google review.
Yeah, that's true. That is really true. But that one it worked in my previous project. So, but yeah, anyway, thank you so much.
QR codes were out for a while. And then with the last couple of years with COVID and the contact list, they've really come back. So a QR code is a great way to get people at your location to your review page.
Okay, thank you.
We have another question, David.
Sure.
How much time should I spend on my Google My Business as a business owner? Like I'm assuming either maybe a week or a month should I be spending on Google My Business as a rough guide?
I'm going to default to the marketing answer that every marketing expert always gives. It depends. If your profile is completely filled out and completely optimized, then you've already put your work in, but you want to be posting a minimum of twice a week. You can add timed offers. So an offer could be like a month long, or you can change an offer to be a week long. You definitely want to post twice a week, and you want to reformat any content you're using on other social media channels so that it looks good on Google My Business. You want to be aware of how the images are cropped on mobile, and how we saw that one image was, wasn't quite square anymore. It had been taken down about a third of the image it was missing. So if you're spending maybe an hour, once it's optimized, and if you're getting more engagement through it, you're definitely going to be spending more time through it. So if you're getting people clicking on your posts and asking you questions, and if you have messaging set up, and I didn't even get into that because that's a lot more detail, but if you're having people asking for quote requests, you're going to be in it a lot more. I would recommend you take a look at your profile at least once a week, review it. Google is always suggesting things. People could be editing your profile in ways that you don't understand. If you do get a message from Google about your Google My Business profile, you want to take a look at that within 24 hours. Because if you ignore it for a couple of days, Google is going to take that other potentially unhappy person's opinion, and they'll actually change your profile without you even knowing. So once or twice a week, take a look at your profile, add some content. But the worst thing is when somebody gets back, finds out that somebody has, taken their profile away 2 or 3 months later, and they can't get back into it. So you really do want to at least take a look at it, make sure there's no updates make sure there isn't any updates with good English there. Make sure there isn't any updates that need to be corrected or edited. And then, take a look, make sure your Q&As are in the right format you want. It can be done very quickly, within 10 or 15 minutes once you're more used to it. But, uploading a post takes a moment or two, uploading a photo or video takes a moment or two. You do want to add content periodically as well to your photos. So I don't think you'd need to do more than an hour a week, just spread it out into 2 sessions. And once you get more effective at it, you won't even need that long. You'll know what exactly you're looking for. You'll take a look at your analytics, see if anything's changed, take a look at your insights, and boom, get out. Or you can hire someone who knows what they're doing to just give you reports and ask questions as needed.
Another question, what's the best way to add coupons or offers on Google My Business that will not be frowned upon by Google?
You can add an offer post as one of your posts. So take a look at the offer post. If this is from the gentleman who's doing CBD, there may be some challenges with that. Google does take a look at the images. I have had images that have been deleted or suspended images. They're not allowing a post. Also, there are certain words you're not allowed to use. Now, this is going to sound weird, but again, Google is around the world. So a plumber is not allowed to use the word toilet in a post. So there are certain words that no matter what you do, you cannot use them in a Google My Business post, because in some cultures, those are offensive. So you want to make sure that your posts, the next time you log on, make sure your post wasn't rejected. It happens, but I've probably in less than 1 in 200 posts I've done have been rejected for different brands.